Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today I wanted to talk about my study abroad experience. I've just come back from a semester abroad in Austria and I had a great time and I kind of just wanted to share what I did with you. So I've split this video up into different sections. I will include the titles and the times of each section in the description box down below. And I hope you enjoy. The first questions that I always get are, why did I study abroad and why did I choose Austria? So to be honest, I was just seeking a new experience. I knew that I wanted to study abroad early on in university, so I kind of organized my semesters in a way that I could take a semester off and just travel. I chose Austria because I wanted a country that was mountainous, that had good public transportation to give me a little bit more flexibility and freedom, and I wanted to learn a new language. I had a classmate that was from Austria in high school and I loved everything that he showed me and the things he said about the country, so I had really good impressions about Austria and I'm happy that I ended up there. I went to a school called Johannes Kepler University, or JKU for short. It was located in the city of Linz, which is in Upper Austria. Very beautiful. I loved it. I know the locals would always ask us why we chose Linz or why we ended up in Linz. It was a really pretty city. It's the third largest city in Austria and there are several other universities in the city, so there were a lot of students. It was very lively. The people were very active. A lot of people would run or ride their bikes in the nature, and there were lakes around the city, and there was also a river that ran across the middle of the city. There was a metro that ran through it. We paid like a monthly ticket and we could just hop on and off whenever we wanted. JKU was a pretty large university. There were around 20,000 students, but it didn't feel that big because most of my classes were quite small, and even in my lectures I knew people.
A cool view of my campus. The library is right there, and my dorm is right there, and then there's little hikes along those mountains. So Linz is like right there.
My academics went pretty well. I took 5 classes, 2 of which were master's classes, and there was much more pressure on final exams and final projects. Instead of like assignments throughout the semester, they were longer classes and only once a week. So most of my classes were around 3 hours long, whereas back home I would have like shorter and more frequent classes. And it was also different because my school didn't really have the sports environment, so there weren't any like sports teams. I never went to any sporting events, and I really like sports, so I kind of missed that, but there are other things that were great about the university. One of my favorite classes that I took was called Robo-Psychology. It was basically about how the psychology of humans can help the development of artificial intelligence and the effects of human-robot interactions. So it was really cool. I lived in a dorm called Julius Rabheim. It was also a hotel, so it was a pretty large dorm, and most of the exchange students lived in my dorm, which was very convenient because we would walk to campus parties together or we would gather in our common kitchens, and I recommend it if you're going to JKU. The kitchens were a great place for me to make friends. Every time I would go in there would be someone there. Maybe they were making food that I had never seen in my life, so they would give me some to try. And I'm very proud of my cooking progression this semester because I started off with people asking me like, what are you doing? What are you making? And do you know how to cook? And then I ended the semester with people asking like, oh, what are you doing? The best part about exchange were the exchange students themselves. I really loved all the exchange students this semester. There were over 100 of us on exchange. Most people were from Europe on Erasmus, but there were also people coming from all over the world. And I think that's really what makes exchange really special, because you don't only learn about the country you're going to, but you also learn about all these countries and cultures that are being represented. I had a group of girlfriends that would meet every week, and we would prepare food from our own countries together. I even had this one friend that invited us over to celebrate one of her national holidays, and we shared pastries and learned all about Finland, and that was super special. I think moments like that just made my exchange very nice. And also, my German skills did improve. Throughout the month of February, I received an intensive German language learning program, and then throughout my semester I was also taking a German class with other exchange students. I came in knowing zero German, and I think that really influenced my first perception of Austrian people. I thought they were stingy and cold, but really I think the language barrier caused me to have that perception. As I started learning more German, I started, interacting with people more, and I found out that Austrians are actually very friendly. Traveling in Europe is amazing. It's super easy, it's very affordable, and traveling throughout Austria was pretty much the same. There was a really big train system, and I was able to visit a lot of different cities in Austria, and I also went to Germany, Latvia, and England throughout my exchange semester. I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I think studying abroad in Europe especially is great because you can go to other countries very easily, and I am happy that I took advantage of so many beautiful destinations in Austria. There's so many mountains and lakes and even ice caves. The next two things I wish I would have known about earlier. The first one is gymnastics. I love gymnastics, and there was a gym in my city, and I found out about it until after spring break. So I joined a little bit late, but I loved the people there. It was a mixed club, so there were girls and guys, and everyone was pretty advanced. I really liked running by the lake or by the river, but having gymnastics with people that also love gymnastics was lots of fun. And I just loved making connections there because most of the students there were Austrians. It was a great place for me to get to know more people. And the second activity was Habakkuk, a student or university Christian organization. I started attending until after spring break as well. I loved all the relationships that I made with the people in this group, and they had lots of fun events and lots of food. And I wish I would have joined earlier because there are so many special people there. I have to give a shout out to my brother Josh. He studies in Bavaria, Germany, which is a southern part of Germany, and I studied in a part of Austria that was very close to where he lived. It was about 3 hours away. And so we would visit each other in our countries, and we would travel together, and I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to be close to him and travel with him and introduce our friends to each other. I loved seeing him, and I'll miss him so much next year. I do want to say I'm very grateful for my opportunity, and I am in such a privileged position to have these challenges. Firstly, a lifestyle change. I'm very used to having a busy lifestyle, and I love getting involved academically and physically and socially, and I'm used to having a very busy routine, and I think I thrive in a more fast-paced lifestyle. And this semester was a lot more laid back than what I'm used to, so I think that change was difficult for me to get used to and to properly enjoy. Once I started getting more involved in Habakuk and gymnastics and, you know, developing more meaningful relationships with my friends, it definitely helped. Another challenge that I had that is kind of connected to this is I struggled with low energy, and it was something that I wasn't expecting. I'm very extroverted, and this semester I had to be a lot more independent than what I normally am. A lot of the social environments that I was normally a part of, I was instead doing those things on my own. So for example, in my home university, I would always share meals with my friends. I would even sleep with my friends because my roommates, and I would also study with friends. And this semester I was kind of doing everything on my own. I was cooking and eating by myself most of the time. I was studying on my own, and I was sleeping on my own because I had my own room. And I was also focusing on relationships that I had from back home, which led me to spend even more time in my room by myself. It also impacted my sleeping routine because of the time difference. So I didn't really realize how much this had affected me until I actually started reflecting on it. But I guess my main takeaway from this is, as I start adulting and I start living more independently, I have to be very intentional about creating those social environments around me, and also just taking advantage of all the social opportunities that come, because I just love meeting new people and making lots of friends. And then my last and more general challenge was dealing with my personal finances. It was the first time where I kind of had more responsibilities of like paying rent and buying my own food, and I really wanted to take advantage of all the traveling that I could and make the most out of my study abroad experience. And honestly, what helped me with this was just being more mindful of my expenses and budgeting out the different types of things that I wanted to do and what I needed to have, and just making the most of everything. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about. There's definitely a lot of things that come with studying abroad and these experiences that I would love to talk to you about if you ever have any questions. I'm so grateful for my study abroad experience, and I am looking forward to visiting Austria sometime in the future.